we ended with an overtime game because that's how it always works when you're doing a live show. It has to be the last game, has to be OT, just has to. But a very fun one. Rams win 20-17 in OT. We got stretches of very strong defense on both sides, some hero plays at the end of this game. One in regulation by Caleb Williams throwing a 51-yarder in the air that only went down as what, a 14-yard touchdown. Next Gen Stats had as the record for the furthest pass behind the line of scrimmage by at least 5 yards, by almost 5 yards, the furthest in Next Gen Stats history. But the Rams win this game, move the ball in overtime, on their second possession in overtime, and pull out with this win in Chicago. Matt, I'll start with you. Thoughts on the Rams moving on, the Bears, how they looked? Of course, there was the interception in overtime, but I'm curious what you just thought of this great game.
Yeah, weirdly, I feel like the Rams dodged a bullet here in this one. I think they played with fire for a long stretch of this game. In the first half, it felt like they had a real clear advantage in the ground game, and they never really relied on that. They kind of messed around a little bit with the game management later on with the timeouts in this one, and ultimately, when it felt like the game was in Caleb Williams' hands at the very end of it, at the fourth quarter, obviously inside the 2 minutes, and then in overtime, he has the great scramble. He has several great highlight moments, and it ends on an interception from a great defensive play, a very heads-up play there. But to me, that was kind of a little bit of a what are we doing on that route, DJ Moore moment. So it was a wild one at the end, but it certainly felt like it didn't feel like one of these teams, at least today on this Sunday night, was dramatically better or worse than the other. It did just feel like the Rams got away with it a little bit. It was a great game by them, and their defense certainly stood out, especially in the second. I thought both secondaries played above my expectations in this one. I thought this was going to be, I don't know how you guys previewed it. I thought it was going to be more of the passing games might get what they want here, and there were certainly some mistakes that probably wiped that off the board, certainly from the Bears pass catchers here. But nevertheless, I thought that this was a game where with both secondaries stood out to me as big difference makers on either side.
Yeah, the Bears just brought the heat over and over with their DBs. Yeah. I mean, blitzing them double digits times. Kyler Gordon had a nice bounce back game after last week. That DJ Moore play, our friend Keegan Abdu from Next Gen Stats had this, but DJ Moore miles per hour when that pass was thrown, 18.33. DJ Moore miles per hour when that pass arrived, 15.38. He slowed down, and worse than all, he should have been flattening the route. Where I saw where Caleb was trying to throw it. It's just one of the. That's what happens when. Not a lot of room for error when you're trying stuff down the field, and if something's off, that's just what it looks like. Chuck, what did you think of this game? Also, I kind of feel the same way, kind of like an even matchup. One surprising stat before I kick to you, Chuck. The Bears had a 51% dropback success rate, and the Rams had 30%. I thought those numbers might actually be kind of near each other going into the game and maybe even feeling it, but Bears actually had a really nice performance.
Man, the DJ Moore play, that's going to be burned forever in Bears lore. And I would love to know his miles per hour when the ball was actually thrown, because he had almost stopped running completely, which is crazy. I mean, dude, you're one game away from the NFC title. Go. And even if you can't make a play and catch the ball, you can at least get there, maybe break it up and make it a little bit, a little bit harder to catch. So that was just so bad. But all in all, fun game, man. I thought that, even for a house money season that the Bears had, it is frustrating for it to end like this. But at the end of the day, you have proof of concept that this thing can work. It can work at a high level. Obviously, you've got your franchise quarterback, and even in a game where it wasn't always clean at times, because they had the turnovers and the interceptions. Even though the last one I wouldn't really put on Caleb. It was just a nice team performance, and then probably the best called game from Dennis Allen all season, where that Bears defense, they have been kind of Swiss cheese, and you laid it out with the numbers earlier. They played incredible, a lot better than I thought they would, and the aggressive changeup was kind of nice to see, because we know Matthew Stafford's killed the blitz all year, and they got home a few times. I'm guessing that they were using the weather as a factor in how much they were deciding to blitz. But yeah, that was a great call game from Dennis Allen, and man, just so close at the end, and couldn't quite get it done. Because at the end, I kind of found myself, man, I would love to see them get it done, even though I did pick the Rams in this game, because what a cool story. This is the best Bears team I've seen in my whole life, or at least the most fun one.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, how the defense played at the end, it was like made it feel more complete. But I mean, this best Bears offense, best Bears passing game I easily have seen.
Easily.
No, the blitz stuff was great from Dennis Allen. Matthew Stafford went 6 of 15 for 105 yards against the blitz. Got him late. There's a Brisker sack on it, a Gordon sack on it. But then this was the gash or be gash of it was there was like a Parkinson play that happened in the fourth quarter, like a catch and run, and then there was the Puka Nacua third down on the last drive to set up the field goal. And then the Rams just lost their minds and started throwing fade balls at the end of the game when they were in field goal range. I'm not gonna lie, I feel pretty good about knowing the rules in the NFL, and this playoffs has had me checking my notes from last week with the Josh Allen slide. This whole we'll get into it with the Broncos Bills game, I'm sure, but also just like that, I was like, wait, it's sudden death, right? After the first possession, right? Like I was like, is it a whole quarter? You have to score 10. Like I actually double checked because I was wondering why they were so freaking aggressive on that. But no, I really did think that, and when it came down to it, like Devontae Adams was quiet the whole game, and there was big, huge play on the sideline. Oh. Like their playmakers made plays at the end. The Rams special teams almost reared their ugly heads before that Caleb Williams hero play. They had a botch or a brutal punt that went just to midfield. But no, it was cool. That's what I love about playoff football. You kind of could throw some things just completely out into the water because it's just like, this is so hyper game planned. And you get guys like Dennis Allen going like, yeah, all of a sudden we're going to bring all these funky blitzes on first down too, not just third down as well. So I thought it was, like you said, Chuck, it was house money for the Bears this season. And you get proof of concept, you buy goodwill, not just from like owners, but fan base. Like, hey, trust what we're doing now. Now you're aligned, head coach, GM, quarterback for the first time it feels like forever in Chicago. So just, feeling pretty dang good about where it's all going. We'll figure out where the stadium's at. Kevin Warren's got to figure that out. Maybe they got hanging that over their head
at some point.
But feeling pretty good. But any kind of closing thoughts on like just where the Bears are at, Matt? Maybe something they might need to add into this offseason before we kind of round it out with the Rams.
Yeah, you never want to fall in the trap of, well, we just said it's a house money season, right? But you never want to fall in the trap of like, oh, they'll be right back here, because we've seen how that can not be true. That being said, if there's ever a team that you do want to bet on, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and this is something, Nate, you and I have been talking about all year, this is one of those teams because not only is the quarterback in his second year, there's so many young players on this offense. Obviously, that might – it's going to stink if that does end up being DJ Moore's last play as a Chicago Bear, but he's the guy that might not be on this roster next year. Maybe Cole Kmet, that's something to look at. But other than that, it's rookie tight end, rookie receiver, second-year receiver, rookie running back, in addition to what they have with DeAndre Swift. Kyle Monangai was awesome in this game. So you do think that, like, progression's not linear. That's not the first time, or it's not the last time I'm going to say that on this show. Progression's not linear. You could take a step back. Any of these guys could, hit a bump in the road in their second or third season. That does happen. But this is an offense that you would think could be even better next year, at least more consistent. Like, the highs are high. The lows can still be low with this unit. And if that can just sort of normalize somewhere in the middle here and you keep Dennis Allen around on defense, you can kind of build up some of that too. Maybe get more of an organic pass rush instead of just what they do as a blitzing unit. I think that you can continue to push forward and feel like, yeah, maybe the Bears won't, we can't just pencil them into the conference championship game next season or anything like that, but they can still be one of the best and most competitive teams in the league.
It's Caleb, just like he can do the hardest things. Obviously, we've seen those kind of hero plays the last couple of weeks, and it's starting to kind of color in between the lines. The run game was really kind of doing that as well, hitting explosives, being efficient. And it's like, just don't stop. Like, I think the scariest team to ever look at was they're not exactly the same makeup, but the Brian Dable, the first year with the Giants. And they're like, yeah, this is great. Let's just run it all back. And it was like, no. You got to start kind of tweaking things and kind of layering and adding on to it. And I don't think they're going to be complacent with what they have. I'm bullish. I kind of have been this whole process, but even more so, like you guys keep saying, the kind of proof of concept with it. Chuck, what about you? Anything kind of add on to maybe in the Bears' thoughts maybe for this offseason? Anything to add? Like kind of.
I do think if you're a Bears fan, it's kind of fair to be frustrated with, I guess, not finishing drives, because if you start looking through some of the numbers, the Bears, they had 9% of their drives didn't get a first down compared to almost 40% for the Rams. They averaged 2.09 first downs per drive. If you put that for like a league-wide number, that'll be fifth in the NFL this year. also higher than their own mark of 1.96 first downs per drive. But 27% turnover rate, man. Like, you were moving the ball. They average almost 40 yards per drive compared to 25 for the Rams. But they just couldn't get it done, man. I like that. That's where I think it'd be fair to be frustrated if you're a Bears fan. It's like you were doing a lot of nice stuff the whole game, but couldn't quite punch it through. Maybe chalk it up to youth. Maybe you just chalk it up to being unlucky. Probably the latter. And hope you get back next year because when we watch these games, I'm reminded of Dan Campbell when he was upset after the Lions lost to the 49ers in an NFC title game. He was like, man, like this hurts so bad because you might never get back. Haven't seen the Lions back to that point yet. Nope. So you can't take any of this for granted. I think it's fair to be frustrated, even if you're hopeful about the future because, man, they really did move the ball well today. But couldn't quite close when they needed to.
It feels like they're kind of have to take that traditional next step of finishing. Yeah, they came back from a lot this year, but kind of that just clean things up. Really, that's what it is in situations, and that's what football NFL is. So situations, red zone, third downs, fourth downs. Even just looking at the fourth downs, Caleb sails the first pass. He gets pressure on his face by Kobe Turner. They're picking on the left guard. The Rams were because Joe Tooney was on left tackle. And bring the 5 pass rushers. Kobe Turner gets his face. He sails the pass. Okay, misses that fourth down. Then they have the one in short yardage where I want to say, and I don't, this is tough for me, but I think DJ Moore is supposed to fold in there and get the safety. But it could have been a pass off thing. So, but that's just how I looked at it. But these little minor details. They're so close. And then the 4th and goal, when Omar Spites had that little PBU, on that one, that was a classic play. It's drive angle. And Caleb should just hit the crosser. He should just take the simple answer. And it's like, okay, so I get the hero plays, and there's just stuff. They took the team that I felt maybe the best about this entire season from bell to bell and took them to the overtime and probably could have won this game and should have won this game. You got to feel good for a team that a lot of people didn't think would be in the playoffs, just to end up this way. I mean, it's just feeling good. Just kind of reset their stuff, figure out a few positions. Like you guys already mentioned, DJ Moore, amongst others. And you got good defensive tackle class. I'll say that, Bears fans as well. Kind of shore up some of the interior defense. That'll help you guys out as well. Rams, though, final thoughts on them as we go into next week. Any weaknesses? It felt like McClendon got picked on a little bit. Kind of felt like that, but just, Chuck, I love that reaction. How are you feeling about the Rams? Kind of just as we before we do a deep dive preview show later this week, but just how are you feeling right now, Sunday night?
I mean, if they keep playing like they've looked recently, I guess basically since they lost to Seattle, about a month ago, you look at that game against the Falcons that they lost. Then they had the Panthers game last week, and that wasn't their best work. Now tonight, obviously not their best game. If you walk in Seattle playing like that, it's going to be over by halftime, bro. That defense is going to shove them in a locker if they continue to play like this. And I'm a little worried because it's been a little bit of a funk for a little bit now. That game against the Cardinals week 18 was nice, but 3 of the 4 games that you played in your past month have not been really impressive performances.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel quite right. Matt, you feel the same?
Yeah, it's just like I said. I don't think this was McVay's best game either, and that's sort of the. So you can sort of spin this like multiple different ways, right? Where coming out of the Panthers game, it was special teams and secondary. And I think that the secondary played better today than they did that week. But then obviously, again, I'm coming out of this thinking like they bungled some situations. I didn't love the first half play calling. You felt like you didn't even need it to be this close at the end. I think that if they had just kind of put and it's hypothetical, it's like hindsight analysis. But to me, I think this wasn't the best coached game that the Rams had played. And, all this talk coming into it about, the McVay tree, Peter Traeger had this, right? The McVay tree's really upset at Ben Johnson. I'm like,
you bet the Hornets nest now, man.
Yeah, great. Well, I think maybe you overthought it coming into this game because, like I said, it wasn't his best performance in this one. But that you can either take that one or two ways, and that there's multiple problems that they need to worry about, or it's like, all right, well, we cleaned one thing up from wild card round, then another thing sprung up here in divisional round. Maybe we get it all sorted out in conference championship. But I'm with Chuck, man. Like, you play like you did these last 2 weeks. You go into Seattle, it could get ugly in a hurry because that's the Hornets' nest right there. And, you come close to that thing, all them Hornets are coming out at you.
Seattle. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Oh, my God. They're putting everybody in the freaking lion tamer. It's unbelievable. Sharpshooter. Last question, Matt. Where'd you have Loveland in Dynasty? Didn't you and did you guys do a show this week on that? Where do you have Loveland in dynasty ranks? Colson Loveland for the Bears. You know, kind of. I felt like didn't you do a dynasty show this Wednesday?
Yeah, well, we do like a lot of these kind of user-based questions, and I feel like nobody's really asking about Colson Loveland in Dynasty because it's like as high as you can go, man. He's so good. He wasn't perfect in this game. I think everybody had all the Bears pass catchers had like high moments and low moments, and that's kind of been the story of the Bears.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. I think we talked about this last week, Nate, where of course the Jaguars season ended on an in-breaking route over the middle. Like they kind of died as they lived, and the Bears died on like a wide receiver quarterback miscommunication, wide receiver error type play. They died as they lived here on this one. So Colson Loveland wasn't perfect in this one, but I actually thought the play that he impressed me the most on was the Odunze outbreaking route. I think it was like the sail route. It was a great catch by Odunze, but Loveland is like singled up blocking Jared Verse on that play on the backside. Like that was so impressive by him. That was so impressive, and that just goes to, and that's obviously not going to get you fantasy points from like a dynasty standpoint, but it just goes to show like that is a complete player. He should never leave the field. He should be there. You can match him up against corners. You can match him up against linebackers. Yeah, he was such a great pick, and definitely I think some people want some September takes back on the Colson Loveland selection. Nobody on this show, but other people out there might. Yeah.
A lot of Loveland supporters here. No, I think that's a great way to say it. It's like how they died was some receiver miscommunication. Because you got to remember last week there was the digger out. Luther Burden threw the mailbox hand up, which is unbelievable from a rookie. And also Kyle Williams did the exact same thing on a play in the game that we are about to talk about. But no, the Rams move on to the Seahawks and